When the Supermarine Spitfire first appeared over Europe, its sleek profile and graceful elliptical wings were initially met with a mix of curiosity and dismissal by the Luftwaffe. To German pilots, hardened by combat in Spain and Poland, the Spitfire seemed more like an aesthetic experiment than a true battlefield menace, especially when compared to their own angular and muscular Messerschmitt BF 109. However, as the Battle of Britain raged in the summer of 1940, this initial perception rapidly transformed into one of cautious respect, as the Spitfire proved to be a formidable adversary that would challenge German air supremacy and alter the course of the war. The Luftwaffe's first significant encounters with the Supermarine Spitfire occurred during the Battle of Britain. Confident in their combat-proven Messerschmitt BF 109, German pilots believed they would easily dominate British skies. The BF 109 had already earned its reputation as a war winner, and early German intelligence reports dismissed the Spitfire's refined profile as too delicate for serious combat. This perception was shattered in the dogfights over southern England. Luftwaffe pilots quickly discovered that the Spitfire was engineered for exceptional agility. Its distinctive elliptical wing design, once viewed as merely elegant, was a marvel of aerodynamic efficiency that reduced drag and enabled incredibly tight turns. In close-quarters duels, Luftwaffe flyers found that the Spitfire could match the BF 109 almost move for move, forcing German command to reassess its tactics. Reports trickling back from the front line made it clear the Spitfire was no fragile curiosity, but a formidable opponent. Some pilots even noted that when facing formations of both Hurricanes and Spitfires, the Spitfire was the true threat. By the late 1930s, the Luftwaffe considered itself the most advanced air force in the world, with the BF 109 as its crown jewel. The aircraft symbolized German technological superiority with its fuel-injected Daimler-Benz engine and an excellent climb rate. Luftwaffe doctrine relied on achieving air superiority through aggressive fast strikes, assuming British defenses would collapse under pressure. However, Britain had invested in innovation. The Spitfire, designed by R.J. Mitchell, was unlike anything Germany had anticipated. Its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine provided a potent mix of speed and reliability, making it an ideal defensive interceptor. For German pilots, this came as a rude awakening. The presence of the Spitfire meant that German bombers and their fighter escorts could not operate unchallenged. The clash of doctrines was stark. While Germany valued speed and vertical duels, the Spitfire introduced a machine that could intercept swiftly and outmaneuver opponents in a sustained fight. The air war was no longer Germany's to dictate. On a technical level, the Luftwaffe initially believed the BF 109 held a clear advantage. The early BF 109E model had a slight top speed edge over the Spitfire Mk1, approximately 354 miles/h to 348 miles/h. Yet, this narrow margin overlooked the Spitfire's defining strength, its maneuverability, turning radius. The Spitfire's elliptical wings gave it a tighter turning radius, a critical advantage in a dogfight. German pilots soon learned that attempting to outturn a Spitfire was a fatal mistake. Armament. Early Spitfires carried 8 303 Browning machine guns. German pilots initially dismissed this as inferior to the BF 109's mix of cannons and machine guns. In practice, however, the Spitfire's dense stream of fire proved devastatingly effective, particularly in turning engagements and against bombers. Production. Perhaps the greatest German miscalculation was psychological. They assumed the Spitfire was too complex for mass production and would not play a decisive role. By 1940, however, Spitfires were rolling off production lines steadily, ensuring German pilots faced them daily. By the middle of the Battle of Britain, Luftwaffe intelligence had revised its stance. The Spitfire was, in many respects, the equal of the BF 109. The Battle of Britain became the crucible where German assumptions were shattered. Luftwaffe aces quickly learned that survival against a Spitfire depended on using hit-and-run tactics, exploiting the BF 109's superior climb rate to engage and disengage on their own terms, rather than engaging in prolonged turning duels. This was a jarring reversal for pilots trained to aggressively dominate their opponents. Strategically, the Spitfire, paired with the more numerous Hawker Hurricane, ensured German bombers were rarely safe. Spitfire squadrons often focused on engaging the German fighter escorts, allowing the Hurricanes to attack the bombers. This deadly synergy disrupted Luftwaffe planning and turned missions intended to break British morale into punishing slogs with heavy losses. By late 1940, German reports acknowledged the Spitfire as a decisive factor in Britain's air defense system. The most vivid insights come from the German pilots who faced the Spitfire. Werner Mulders, one of Germany's most celebrated aces, initially described the aircraft as manageable, but even he later admitted it was a uniquely challenging opponent. One pilot recorded in his diary, "It clings to your tail like glue, twisting tighter than our messes can manage. To stay alive, you must fight differently." Intelligence bulletins evolved from skepticism to caution. By 1941, Luftwaffe briefings warned new pilots that the Spitfire was their most dangerous adversary in the West, urging them to avoid turning fights at all costs. The evaluation was a gradual journey from mockery to frustration and finally to recognition. Even with the introduction of the advanced Focke-Wulf FW-190, the Spitfire remained a constant, evolving adversary that refused to be outclassed. Captured Spitfires were tested by the Luftwaffe, confirming that their handling and turning performance were exceptional. German engineers came to respect the design for its brilliant fusion of beauty and function. In post-war reflections, German aces like Adolf Galland often highlighted the Spitfire as the most iconic Allied fighter, praising its elegance and deadliness. Galland famously remarked that the only thing he regretted was not having Spitfires for his own squadron. Such comments underscore how the aircraft transcended its role as an enemy weapon to become a symbol of admiration. For Germany, the Spitfire was a reminder that technological superiority could be matched by innovation, and that the confidence of an entire air force could be broken by resilience. In the end, the German perception of the Spitfire was a journey from dismissive skepticism to profound respect. It was the aircraft that blunted their aerial offensive, forced them to rethink their tactics, and played a pivotal role in halting their advance. Germany didn't just fight the Spitfire, they remembered it as the fighter that changed history.